Today, my name is Gabriel Colobong, and the topic that was assigned to me is about emotions, attitudes, and job satisfaction. And the topic that I chose is the neural basis of feeling understood and not understood. This research is conducted in 2014 by Silvio Morelli, a postdoctoral fellow at Stanford University, Jared Torre, a data scientist and researcher from the University of California, and Naomi Eisenberger, a professor in social psychology program at the University of California. Now we will be discussing the objectives of this study. There are a lot of previous studies that prove the importance of self-understanding to well-being. But the thing is that it is unclear how individuals are instantiated in the brain when feeling understood and not understood. So this study addressed these gaps by establishing the neurological basis of feeling understood and not understood and link these neural signatures to interpersonal and intrapersonal outcomes. It will be done by experimentally inducing felt understanding and not understanding as participants underwent functional magnetic resonance imaging or the fMRI. This is the methodology of the study. First is the participant selection, then the initial behavior session, next is the fMRI task, next will be the post-scanner ratings, then lastly is the fMRI acquisition and data analysis. In this study, they were able to obtain 35 University of California undergraduate students to conduct the initial behavioral session. But only 19 participants were able to participate in the fMRI studies because 14 of them not met the criteria for fMRI scanning session, while the others were excluded due to health concerns. Out of the remaining 19 students, 9 were male and 10 were female. The sample was 37% Caucasian, 47% Asian American, and 16% Latino-Latina. Before the participants arrived in the lab, each participant write their 6 most positive and 6 most negative events that they have experienced. The experimenters choose 8 events which are the 4 most intense positive and negative events that will be used in the experiment. Then at the lab, participants were asked to read their own paragraph about the event, spend 1 minute reliving the event, self-record a video approximately 2 minutes long describing the event, and then rate how emotionally intense they felt while talking about the event. Some example positive events were acceptance in the school, a surprise birthday party, and winning a scholarship. Some examples negative events were failing a class, getting bullied, and a romantic breakup. A week after the initial behavioral session is the fMRI task. This is where the researcher will analyze the neural response of the participants when they feel understood and not understood. Before the fMRI task, participants were asked to watch and respond to the 2 positive and 2 negative videos of other participants. Then, during the fMRI task, participants saw responses from 2 different students that were intended to make the participant feel either understood or not understood. Participants saw a total of 4 understood blocks and 4 not understood blocks, and each participant saw these blocks in one of 5 randomized order. In each block for the understood and not understood conditions, participants saw the following. First is the title of their event for 2 seconds, then a short video clip of their event for 20 seconds. Then there will be a cue that they were about to see a student's response. Then they will show the 3 sentences the responders chose in response to the participant's video. Then a scale for rating how understood they felt for 4 seconds. Then there will be a fixation cross for 12 seconds. Next is the post-scanner ratings, where participants were asked to rate how they felt in response to seeing the feedback. The purpose is to get the behavioral response, and this result will be compared to the fMRI result. Then, the last step will be the fMRI acquisition and data analysis of the fMRI task. There are two major findings in this study. First is that when a person felt understood, it activates the visual cortex and middle insula, which associates with processing monetary and social rewards and social connections. In addition, this contrast showed increased activation in regions related to mentalizing, such as the precuneus and the TPJ, while not being understood showed an increase in AI inferior frontal gyrus, suggesting that not feeling understood activates a region previously associated with negative affect, which includes negative affective experiences arising from feeling rejected, being negatively evaluated, or being treated unfairly, which proves the study of Eisenberger from 2003. They also found an additional cluster in the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, suggesting that not feeling understood may activate a mentalizing related region previously associated with thinking about dissimilar others, which correlates to the study of Mitchell from 2006. This study scientifically proves the following. First, it proves that feeling understood could increase the interpersonal closeness, which also paralleled to the participant's behavioral response. When a person interacts with somebody who is more empathetic, they feel heard, validated, and understood. They feel more trust, personal closeness, and motivation to cooperate. This also proves that feeling understood can make the person feel valued, respected, and validated, which proves the study of Fraser and Patrick from 1996. Then lastly, it proves that feeling understood can act as a social reward, which reinforcing and strengthening the social relationship. This is parallel to the study of Young from 1959, where the anticipated reward of feeling understood may motivate individuals to seek out positive interaction partners, much like individuals seek out rewards such as food and money. Now that we understand the neural basis of feeling understood, which scientifically proves its positive impact, let's discuss the implication of this research to managerial decisions and actions. This research implies how empathy at workplace really matters, especially as a leader who handles a group of individuals. But first, let's describe empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand other people's emotions and what they are thinking or feeling. To understand empathy fully, we will discuss first the two types of empathy, which can provide us as a guidance for strengthening our empathy. First is the affective empathy. It is the ability to feel another person's feeling. Then, the cognitive empathy, the ability to know what another person thinks or believes. I discuss empathy because as a manager, you can make your subordinates to be feel understood by introducing and strengthening the empathy at work. So as a manager, what can we do to strengthen or introduce more empathy into our day-to-day experiences at work to make our subordinates to be feel understood? First is that we have to make it a priority to notice our subordinates. So this could give our empathy system a chance to take it in. Next is that we have to incorporate more flexibility in our schedule and giving ourselves space between tasks to interact with our subordinates in meaningful ways. Next is to practice not over-personalizing things that arise when we perceive other people's expression. This will be done by getting out of the habit of self-focus and letting your inner dialogue subside. Then you have to be better at listening. This will be done by making eye contact, signaling interest in your face, your posture, like leaning forward a little bit, your gestures, and tone of your voice. And again, let that inner self focused dialogue subside while listening. And lastly, you have to consider your subordinate's point of view. Convey your curiosity by asking clarifying questions or inviting them to say more. I would like to share this quote from Isaac Dinesen that every human being requires a certain type of soil, temperature, and altitude, very narrowly defined for some, almost universal for others, in order to feel free and happy. What Isaac Dinesen is trying to say is that, on the broadest level, people often need the same form of social acceptance and belonging, but as individuals, we need a specific set of circumstances to thrive. The same applies to your employees. Don't just make them feel understood. Understand them. Only then will you be able to fully unlock their potential, engender their loyalty, and create a bond that accelerates the performance of the greater team. And that will be the end of my presentation of neural basis of feeling understood and not understood. The references that I use are shown in this slide. Thank you for watching this presentation.